Okay, thank you all for coming for an update on the investigation into this young toddler. We're trying to, as you well know, determine her identity. We have actively been seeking your help and the help of the public in gathering information that will help us identify this child, this beautiful young girl we believe to be about 4 years old, 30 pounds, who was found in Winthrop Beach about 2 weeks ago. So it's really captured the hearts of New England, I think, and certainly of Boston. Our office, as well as the Massachusetts State Police and the Winthrop Police Department, combined have received about 45 million hits on social media, on our Facebook pages, on our Twitter feeds, and so forth, in an effort to identify her so that she can have the dignified burial that she so truly deserves, in our opinion. What we have been able to, we've received, as you can imagine, many leads, and we've followed up those leads to a great and considerable extent. 20 of those leads caused us to go to do well-being checks to determine the status of young children, young girls who it was tipped off to us that they may have been of interest to us. In all of those cases, all of those young girls were found to be safe and sound, thank goodness, and they were not the young child that we are hoping to identify. As I mentioned last week at last week's press conference, the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner has conducted an autopsy, and the autopsy does not reveal at this point the cause of her death. So we are looking at, waiting for, I should say, toxicology reports to determine whether or not she was poisoned or she may have ingested illegal drugs or something like that. We have no idea. We're waiting, obviously, for the toxicology report to come in. So with all of the advances that we've seen over the years with respect to crime scene searches and the like, we in law enforcement believe that she's going to be identified when someone watching this news account or reading it in the newspaper or going on to our various Facebook pages is going to recognize her and is going to give us the kind of information that will lead us ultimately, to her identity. So once again, we appeal to the public for that information. I'm going to, and certainly, with today, with social media, it's a whole heck of a lot different than, say, back just even a decade ago or more, when young children were posted on milk cartons. Maybe there were 45 million milk cartons out there with somebody's face on it, but this social media explosion that we had certainly has shown us that the power of what you do and the power of social media to get that message out. I'm going to actually speak now to the parents or the caregivers of this young toddler, and that is, if you are the parent or caregiver of this young girl, please step forward, clear your conscience, and help us identify this young child. She deserves to have her identity known to the public, and she deserves the kind of dignified burial that of any human being. I would also like to acknowledge, and I have personally received half dozen offers to take the child's body and not only bury it, but give it a beautiful resting place, a full-blown funeral, church, and so forth. And again, I just say that it really makes you happy to be a Bostonian and a New Englander when you get those kinds of phone calls personally to my house, through my family, and I know through the office of here in the DA's office and the state police. So if you have any questions of me, I'd certainly be happy to answer some of those right now.
Speaking directly to the parents or whoever was caring for this child, does that lead you to believe that those people or whoever was in charge of this girl might know where she is or might be at fault here?
Well, I say that, not knowing that question, but, if they were, if for some reason there was some sort of a breakdown or there was an accident, or worse, if there was mischief that resulted in a criminal act, I still say, if you were a parent or a caregiver of this young child and you did this, you placed her body in a trash bag and wrapped it up in a blanket and left her on the beach or put her in the ocean, clear your conscience, step forward, and make yourself known, because nobody deserves that kind of ending.
Can you
With
talk
so
about
many
the value of
Facebook
an anonymous?
views and all that, does it surprise you that you haven't found this identity
Well,
yet?
you know, we certainly wish that we had. I won't say it surprises me. It frustrates me more than anything else. And I want to thank the Massachusetts State Police detectives assigned to my office and throughout their department as well, and the Winthrop PD officers, all who are working hard, following up every one of these leads. You know, I'm here as the face of the investigation, but rest assured these men and women are working very, very hard and diligently, and I want to thank them. Over the weekend, for example, 4th of July, while a lot of us were spending time with our family and loved ones and friends, they were really hustling, trying to follow those things. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The value of an anonymous tip, can you talk about that?
We will take any kind of tip. You know, if for example, you know, this young child died at the hands of someone such that it's a criminal act, we certainly still want an anonymous tip there. Please step forward and pass that along. Anonymous or not, or by making yourself known. All will be chased down to determine her identity.
And can you say how many leads you've received, how many tips you've received, and of those, have any of them led you to believe that this girl was a girl from Massachusetts, or could she be, any of them led you to believe that she could be from a different part of the
We've had dozens and dozens of tips, as I mentioned, tips that led us in 20 separate instances to follow up and do further investigation to check on the well-being of a child, so it's been dozens, I would say, but we have not ruled out that the child's from Massachusetts, from New England, or from elsewhere even.
Do you have any idea whether she was placed at the shoreline, whether she washed up at shore, how long she was there?
As far as whether she was placed there or whether she washed up there, that remains an open question. How long was she there? We don't know with scientific certainty, but her body was reasonably intact. There was certainly, you know, a modest amount of decomposition, but enough that we could, with the help of the agency that worked on this for us, the Missing and Exploited Children Foundation, we're able to, as you know, that's not her photograph. That's we hope is a strong likeness of her. But so, anyways, to answer your question, probably not a long period of time. Can I tell you in days or hours? No, I cannot.